and Karen is going to advance slides for us while I'll do a few words of introduction, and then Karen's going to take over with a demonstration, and then I will top and tail. I'll finish things off at the end. Just from a housekeeping point of view, I'm afraid we've got you all on mute for the moment. I hope you can all see the screen. For those of you not familiar with Teams, there is a chat function which you can access. By all means, pop in any questions. We have had 1 or 2 questions in advance of the webinar, and we are trying to sort of embrace those questions within the presentation that we have prepared, the demonstration, demonstration and presentation we've prepared. We should have covered them. If there are any more questions, by all means, pop them in. If we run out of time, we will follow up with you after the webinar. So if we just move on to the next slide. So I'm sure most people, I think most people on this webinar, this lunchtime webinar today are from Quill. So you probably know at least of me, Julian Bryan, Managing Director here at Quill. And I'm supported today by Karen Heggie. Karen is our technical lead predominantly within our cashiering function, Pinpoint. Karen is the person that deals with all technical things relating to the use of effectively our accounts functionality within our software, and she will be showing you all the clever things that we have done today to make basically moving money much more secure than it might otherwise be. So just pop on to the next slide then, please, Karen. And I guess, you know, most of you know Quill in terms of you're using it day in, day out. We have a load of development as ever in the pipeline from a gang of 12 or 15 developers pushing out new functionality, and there's a lot going on at the practice management side of the business at the moment, and there will be even more functionality on the accounting side to follow in due course. And I will pick up at the end in terms of some of the other add-on modules that we've got on offer at the moment to make your lives a lot more efficient and secure working from home. So if we just move on to the next slide. So agenda. So what we're going to do today is we're going to cover money laundering checks, just give you a quick resume of how you can do your money laundering checks as part of your take-on process for a new client, or to double check if you need to re-launder somebody 12, 24 months down the line, how you can do money transfers, how we do what's called the modulus check on a bank account and sort code, the pros and cons of each versus email in terms of security, how we can cover off payment file integration with the major banks, and Karen will demonstrate that, and a few comments on best money handling practices, and if we have time, some questions at the end. So just move over on to the next one then, Karen, and just pop up, or let all the bubbles just pop up. Okay, so I think most of you are probably at a practice management or cashiering function yourselves in your own practices. So a lot of what I'm saying here is stuff that you live and breathe every day. But of course, managing money online done securely is a lot more efficient and traceable than the traditional routes of checks and pens and paper and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to dwell on this because I think I'm preaching to the converted. What we're trying to do here is to demonstrate a few extra bells and whistles to make life more comforting for you and hopefully more efficient for you. So just pop on to the next slide then, Karen, if you wouldn't mind. So this is effectively where Karen is going to take over, start with money laundering checks, and then move into other bits and pieces. So Karen, over to you.
Okie dokie. So the money laundering checks, for the majority of you that are cashiers, probably don't get involved with this side. but I'm just going to go through it anyway so you can see it as well, and those that are practice managers, etc., can see how this works. So if a file is already set up, you will see here, for those of you that are beta testers, this looks slightly different to what you're seeing at the moment, but we're sticking with the original just for now. You'll see here we've got ID checks, 0 passed, 0 failed, and 1 pending. You might recognise this person's name. So what we're going to do is double check Julian is actually Julian and not one of the Escobars, and I'm actually going to get paid at the end of the month and he's not going to steal on my wages. So if we just click on passed, you will see here there is nothing up here that says passed or failed, and it's given us the option to search against him. We haven't got a date of birth. We do have his national insurance number. We don't have his driving license number. Not that I think that would be any good at the moment anyway, given his driving style. And we haven't got his passport number. Now, it will default to the home address. If they've got multiple home addresses listed, it'll let you pick one. It will default to no check, and there's 2 options. And it's not working, which is amazing. So let me just do that again.
Try the pending one.
It all goes to the same screen. I'm just going to click perform checks. It should let you pick in there which one you're picking, AML or AML on credit screen. And it's not happy at all, which is just amazing for demonstration purposes. So what I'll do is I'll come back to this part in a second. If you open a file from scratch, you will do your new case. Is it a new individual? Is it a new group? I'm just going to do a new individual for now. You will get your conflict check screen where you will check if this person's a client before. I'm going to skip that for this purpose. And then you would fill in who it is that you are looking for. So Stephen Strange, this is who I'm acting for. For those of you that watch films, he is a Marvel character. I'm going to put in an address. Stephen Strange doesn't actually live in Milton Keynes, but it's picked it up for me. We'll put in here our salutation, if his house has got a name, any phone numbers, an email address, a driving license if we have it. If you don't put the driving license in correctly, it will tell you that's invalid, and that's quite important. So if the driving license hasn't been put in exactly as it should be on your driving license, it will come back with invalid because it will not get picked up on the AML search if that detail isn't correct. Passport number, that will need to include all of these wonderful chevrons. If you're putting it in, again, that will say to you your passport number isn't valid if it's not completed correctly. Any other ID that you may have, and a reference for that. Down here we've got the GDPR section and any user-defined fields if you're using user-defined fields, and then we do next. And here is the AML screen. So this is the same screen that should have worked previously. And in here, you've got the option for no check, full AML, or AML plus credit screen. That is not a credit check. It's just additional search that goes on it. And these are soft searches. So this won't hit their credit history as a hard search like loan requests or credit card requests or mobile phone bills. This is a soft search. So when your car insurance is up for renewal, for example, and you go on and compare the markets or on Direct Line, they perform a soft search. Those of you that use things like ClearScore to monitor your own personal credit history will see, if you go to your searches section, that there's hard searches and soft searches. This is a soft search. So I'm just going to do a full AML and do perform checks, and you'll see that it's loading here. Now this should come back as a fail because I don't think Dr. Stephen Strange lives on my mum's street. If he did, I'd be very shocked. Once this comes back, it'll be a tick or a cross, and you'll be able to click on it and see why that has passed or failed. I think I must have a slow internet connection today. I'm just going to chance it. And it still says pending. When it's finished, it'll say pass or failed, and then you can download that. And this is saved in the whole of the case history until you delete this case under GDPR. And you can perform as many checks as you like. So it might be that it fails this time because you haven't got those additional informations like national insurance number or driving license number, so they haven't scored high enough to get a pass. Or it might be that they told you they lived at 111, but actually lived at 112, or their date of birth is slightly wrong, and you need to amend it and then do another check. So I'll just let that run and then do next. And you'll put your matter details in there. What would Dr. Strange do? Is that a fight? Your fee earners, the types of service that he's had. So I'm going to put that down as civil litigation. That's not right, but who cares? Where did he come from? Are you using J codes? Is there a credit limit? So that can be either your WIP credit limit or your bills credit limit. Date opened, review date and case plan date, and any extra notes, and then complete. And you'll see when you get back to this screen, it's still saying pending now because it's still running in the background. But if it had failed, it'd say 1 in there. If it passed, it'd say 1 in there. And you can just click on back to this at any point. So that's how you check it as file opening. And if you were checking it from an existing case, you would click here. Okay. And then if we move on to the next section, which is what you're all really interested in, is the money transfers. So what the money transfer does is it looks at your e-chit and your sort code and your account number and confirms if that is correct. And then it will also let you export that from your accounts program into your bank. So to do that, we would go to money. We're going to do a client payment and we're going to stick to Julian's file. So we'll say payment. We're going to make a faster payment because he's got to pay this today. What is he paying? He's paying £5,000. This has auto referencing turned on, which is a nice tweak. There is no charge. And what it will do is it will look at your transaction type and the date that you're doing the transaction for and stick in a reference for you. That saves a lot of time for fee earners. It saves a lot of time for you as cashiers changing that reference when it comes through so that your bank rec's nice and tidy. So who are we making payment to? We're going to make a payment back to Quill Pinpoint because Julian has took too many dividends. So those of you that use Quill for a very long time, you will know that years ago, this was just one line. And we moved it into 2 lines to make it clearer and more compliant of what the money was for and where it's come from or to. And this is then fed into this new enhancement where we're going to send a faster payment to Quill, what it's for, and where's that payment destination. Not required would be where you don't want to do a bank export import. International or United Kingdom, we're going to say United Kingdom, and we're going to put in the sort code there, and we're going to put in an account number. If the online directory, so this is the global directory of sort codes and account numbers, doesn't recognize this, it will tell you, and you can hover over it and it will say to you why it's not valid. When you put in the correct account number, they will go green to confirm that that sort code and that account number match an existing account. It doesn't check to that payment on there, but at the point of import to the bank will throw that up to you if that isn't recognised. Any reference that you want on that payment for the other side. If you can authorise it, it's authorised. If you print it, you can print it. If you don't print an e-chit, it's not the end of the world. They don't go anywhere. You can reprint them at any time if you want to. They are stored in the system forever. We can ignore the check required section because we're not doing a check, we're doing a faster payment. And if you need to send any notes to the cashier, you can put that in here. And then we'll do submit. Now that has now gone through to our e-chit queue. Just going to refresh this to make sure it's there. You can see there's other e-chits in here. You're all used to seeing this screen if you're using our cashiering function. So where are we? There he is. So some of you may get given a piece of paper by your fee earners and you would cross-reference what they've given you on this e-chit to the piece of paper. So if it's a mortgage redemption, they may give you a copy of the bank details and the reference they need to quote on the mortgage redemption. So if this is the opportunity then to cross-reference that if you need to. I would personally recommend checking you've got that on the ledger at the same time, that you've got enough funds in there, that you are paying something that's related to this file. To stop money laundering, etc. But you all know how to be cashiers. If you're a cashier, you know these kinds of things. I'm just reiterating those. We know that's fine. We know we can send the money out and we will click bank export. Now this will then check that those bank details again are correct, that the payment type is correct for your bank. So for example, if they'd clicked a BACS payment and your bank doesn't support BACS payments on import, it will tell you at this point and give you an error down here. You can export multiple ones at the same time by just highlighting them and then clicking export, and the export batch will be those two payments in one export. Okay, so we've exported that payment there, and if we go into reports and then monthly reports, we've got a bank exports folder under our current month. You've got a batch per bank. So if you've got multiple bank accounts for your bank, so maybe you've got a higher savings rate account with, for example, Coots, or if you've got one for Barclays, and then you've got your day-to-day bank account, you can separate them out into the banks there, and then there you see your bank export folder, and you would download that payment and import that into your bank in the manner that your bank accepts imports. Obviously, I can't show you a live import because that would be completely wrong of me to show you somebody else's bank account. So I've got some screenshots. So this is, so I'll show you the screens in a second. So the secureness for the email versus the e-chit. Now, as I said before, those e-chits are stored forever within the system. There is no cases of email fraud. So obviously we've got a large client base. We have seen a lot of emails come through where our clients' emails have been hacked. And they say to send us an email saying, can you make a payment for X, Y, and Z? Now, we wouldn't make payments from emails anyway, so we instantly know that they are fraudulent emails. I think Julian himself has had an instance of this where someone sent an email pretending to be Julian to ask for a bank payment to be made. So it's really more secure if you stop using the emails. It cuts down on any possible fraudulent activity. You've got a history of who requested that e-chit, who put the bank details in there, when they requested it, and it's there for as long as you have the system. Okay, so if we click on to how it works with the bank. So you would log into your bank as normal. This is the NatWest bank line. I'm sure you all know how to log into a bank. The second, the new QR code that NatWest have brought in with your little card readers. Confirm it's you, like you would normally. And then this is the bank import screen. So under NatWest bank line, you have the option for payments and then import payments. You would select choose file. You would find that file that you've downloaded from Interactive and click go. That would then take you to this screen. At that point, you've then got the option to cancel or accept the import again. This one particularly tells you how many payments are on that batch that you've uploaded. So this is only one payment. But for example, if you have exported 15 nominal payments because it's your invoice run day and you're paying the gas bill, the rates, your stationery bill, etc., it will tell in there you've imported 15. It says import is completed. You then have the option to import another file if you want to. So this is just on NatWest. We have no control over this section. This is just how NatWest works. And then you got back to your summary screen. And then you would click again your payments and approve payments. However your practice is set up for authorizing payments, it might be that you have sole access to authorize it. It might be you're a team of cashiers and one person imports and one person approves. It might be that you import and then a partner or a practice manager approves, and then that's done. So that is the simple process of from eChit creation into the accounts program, out of the accounts program, and into the bank. Obviously, I would advise personally posting this eChit before you get to the approved stage, just as one final check. But that's because I am brainwashed with cashiering, and that makes me feel better that I know that there's definitely enough on that ledger before I click go at the bank. Okay, so if we pass you back to Julian.
Okay, thanks, Karen. And yeah, I think the point about email versus e-chits is probably well understood, but I did have a request, or a colleague had a request to urgently send some money to a particular bank account just the day before yesterday, and of course it was a scam. And I had someone telling me that my card had been used to pay for 2 flights to with British Airways just a week or so ago from Manchester. I happened to have been into the centre of Manchester the day before, done a cash withdrawal at a cash point, and clearly I'd been subjected to some form of clever scam at the cash point machine, and I nearly lost control of my bank account. If it wasn't for the sharpness of my wife making sure that we got these things right. So I think what we're trying to do here with the functionality we've introduced is making sure, helping you make sure you get the right money to the right client at the right time. So this modulus check that Karen demonstrated helps to make sure that you are sending this money rather to a bank account that matches that sort code. We do not have the functionality to match that up with the third element of the payee name. That's data that is not available to us, that you will get with your actual online banking functionality, but we're using all the information that is available to us. I don't need to tell you any more about ensuring that clients' identities are legitimate. We do, though, provide that functionality in terms of money laundering. Sorry, it didn't quite work as slickly as it should have done in the dem there. And then the third point is obviously e-chits versus email. Email is just not secure. Not only can can you get spoof emails, but your emails can be hacked more readily than an e-chit, which is an encrypted data transfer within our whole infrastructure. It's far safer, far more robust, and is recorded there forever. Whereas emails can soon get lost. So we'll come on to David's question in the queue in a second or two. With the money chain, and what we call this money chain because we are dealing with every chain along the event of a request for money through to that money actually leaving the bank account. And of course, a chain is something that's very secure. So obviously, what Karen demonstrated in the last element there was the exporting of the payment file, which, as she says, could be just for one payment or multiple payments to create that batch, which you can then upload into your online banking application. And I'll tell you which banks this worked for in just a minute, if we could just move on to the next slide. So here we are. So what we have done is as you can expect, is work on a sort of a logical 80-20 rule. We've gone through our data, worked out which are the most popular banks being used by Quill clients. This is available to both our pinpoint cashiers, if you're using our pinpoint bureau, or indeed if you are the cashier in your own firm. Now, while we give you the names of the banks there, just a word of clarification / warning. Karen demonstrated, for example, the use of the NatWest Bankline application, and there is an RBS Bankline application. Some of the bank's software does not support the import of payment files. For example, I know that if you use NatWest Online Banking, that does not support the importing of a file. You need to be using, for example, Bankline. And the same rules apply for each of these banks. So check whether your particular flavor of online banking software from these banks actually supports a file import before you get too carried away. And obviously, while we do have access to a number of different banks, we don't have access to absolutely every single flavor of every single banks. And if you are wanting to use the service and the bank that you use is not on this list, then do please raise it with us, and we work on the basis that if there is sufficient demand for an additional bank, provided we can get the file specifications from them, then we will support that. So there's a couple of questions here from a couple of people, so let me just take them at the moment because they're probably quite relevant at this point. The first question from David: does this work with Lloyds and when you use your Quill cashier? So yes, it does work with Lloyds, with the caveat that I've just raised, and yes, the pinpoint cashier can do this for you, and I have I'll give you some more facts and figures on that for the moment. And I'm not quite sure that I understand Eleanor's question. How do you connect the bank feed? So Eleanor, what we are doing here is we are creating the file. You as the cashier are creating the file. That is then you are prompting that to be exported to a particular location on your computer, and then you upload that file again. This is not a feed of data like you would have potentially from the likes of open banking. We are looking at that, but we're not looking at that at the moment. And okay, someone else has very kindly commented about the length of fields for international banking payments. Thank you very much for that bit of feedback. Right, so Eleanor, we might pick up with you offline at the end or later on today in terms of the bank feeds, and likewise with you, David, in terms of using your Quill cashier. Move on to the next slide, if you wouldn't mind, please, Karen. So to answer David's question in a bit more detail, how does this work? Can you use your pinpoint cashier for doing this? Well, yes, you can. In order to do this additional service, we're making a charge of £2.75 per transaction. So every one of those rows that you export, we are making a per transaction charge. We track that in the background in our integration, our software integration, and charge that accordingly. If you are a hosted client not using our pinpoint service and fancy using this module, we can switch this module on for you. It's £50 a month for the entire practice, whether there's one cashier or whether there's a half a dozen of you in the firm, and that will enable this functionality for you to use this new tool. Okay, Karen, pop on to the next slide, please. So just a bit of a reminder for you, really. Not only do we have MoneyChain as an add-on module, we do have roughly 15% of our clients now are using Quill Forms. I'm not quite sure where that went there, Clarence. And click on to the next one, please. So if you are using forms from the likes of Oye or from Laserform and fancy having all of that integrated within Quill, we've done a very nice integration now with Quill Forms with another company. So you can ditch your Oye account or ditch your Laserform account and have a much more integrated solution with Quill. As I say, there's about 15% of law firms using Quill are now doing that. So if you're not, then please give us a shout. And that is on almost on a pay-as-you-go basis. So if you use the forms one month, you pay per user. If you don't use them, you don't pay. Similarly with anti-money laundering checks, that again is a pay-as-you-go service. So if you want to use money laundering checks and get the functionality turned on, you can use it. If you use it, you get charged for it. If you don't use it, you don't. MoneyChain we've already talked about. Court bundling. If you're busy producing bundles for courts and you're using our document management service, Docs Hub, then we can actually help you create those court bundles with Bundle Docs. Again, that's a contract that you would have with Bundle Docs. But again, there's 60 or 70 people now, 70 firms using Bundle Docs integrated with Quill. Coming later this autumn is going to be another piece of functionality to do online payments. So, and I think this has been accelerated by lockdown and so on and so forth. So what you will be able to do is include within your supporting email, or indeed within your invoice, within your bill, a link for your client to make payment to you online. By them entering their credit card number or bank account details and putting that money pretty damn quickly back into your bank account. So that would work not only for your bill, but also if you're looking for money on account to go into your client account, if you're opening up a new file and you want some money on account to pay for searches, etc., then that will work there. We will be running a webinar in late October, early November around this, and we hope to be launching that service towards the end of November / early December. And of course, text messaging. A lot of people think that WhatsApp has taken over the world from text messaging, but text messaging is actually very, very secure, very robust. A lot of people use it for sending secure passwords these days, and you can turn text messaging on as a pay-as-you-go service for communicating with your clients if you so wish. You're in complete control of that. And if anybody is still, and some areas of law still work with this, where you still have to deal with a lot of post, inbound post and outbound post, and you don't want that hassle, or you're looking to go virtual, we are in the process of launching a virtual post room, which will scan in all your mail for you and handle all your documents, present those to you as a digital image as part of your document management system. So again, something else there to be looking at. Okay, Karen. So we've had one or two questions. if we've got any more questions, please drop them into the chat. If you're not sure where the chat box is, then top right of your screen, there's a little chat bubble. I know obviously 2 or 3 of you have found it, and we can pop in some. We can take your questions if you pop them into there. If not, then this is just a very simple webinar for you around MoneyChain and how hopefully it can help speed up your process, and that will make your life easier. Thank you, Nancy. A very kind comment from you there, and perhaps you might like to use the MoneyChain functionality, or anybody else. I don't think we're going to have any more questions, so literally a quick half an hour. Oh, any chance you were allowed Santander? Right, okay, we've had a request for Santander. Right, okay, so we will certainly take on board the Santander request. How quickly can your cashiers export the payments to the bank? Well, that is very much down to the SLA between you and your cashier. If you are, we have one particular client. All the questions are coming in now, so I'll deal with David's question first. David, if you need your payments exporting on an hourly basis, 2 hourly basis, Karen, how quickly are we doing it? We have one particular client, one virtual client, where we're doing this on a fairly regular basis. Do you happen to know how many times a day we're doing bank exports?
Our base SLA is 4 to 5 times a day, but obviously we know there's conveyancing firms that are quite busy. Then Fridays and bank holiday weekends, they will require us to do that quicker. If there's something that urgent needs to go, pick up the phone, ask your cashier to particularly send that particular one, and they will do it for you there and then. It's literally a 30-second job to get it from the accounts program into the bank, and then for you to approve.
Okay, and perhaps we can pick that up with David afterwards. So Ella, your question about bank rec, something's a question there is you used to have different colours on your bank rec. It's now no colour. Can this be put back, please? Karen, you're an expert. You tell me the answer to that one.
It's there. It's there. So can I open the accounts program again? You don't want to see a white screen. You want to see this screen. So utilities, bank reconciliation. We bring this over. Option, show reconciled in yellow. That's all you need to do.
So it looks like, Ella, somebody has inadvertently unticked that option. So if you didn't quite follow Karen, she always does everything far too quickly. Oh, yay, Ella, great, you're happy, you got the answer. Ella, if that was all a bit too quick and you can't find that option, just give the support team a call, and they'll help you out with that. And yes, we will email a copy of the recording of this webinar out to anybody that missed a part there. Right, what else have we got coming in here?
Nancy, I'll speak to Mark and find out why you were told 3 times a day. There might be a reason for it, but I'll check for you, Nancy, and get Mark to give you a call.
Yeah, we are running more webinars. There will be webinars coming up on a number of different topics. We've got a webinar coming up on management. There will be a webinar on the new online payment. Question about multi-factor authentication. Yeah, that's something that's growing and growing in terms of requirement. We are very keen to support MFA. We are Cyber Essentials accredited, which does give us a lot of security, and we are looking to build in multi-factor authentication in due course. So we will. Oh, and Neil's put up one on the 6th about LinkedIn, and one on the 21st as how to master difficult conversations. Something that I probably need to go on. Okay, so Ramona, your question, can't locate the export functionality on the cashier side. Can you show that again? Has been the question, Karen.
Ramona, you've got to have it turned on. I bet you're sick of me, aren't you, Ramona? You've heard my voice loads of times in the last couple of weeks. It's under the chits, and you have this section here that says export bank file. and it has to be an exportable file, so it won't work on credits and things, but on a debit, it'll let you export if it's been turned on. So it might not be turned on for you, Ramona.
So we need to turn it on for you, Ramona. So if you want it turned on, which is basically saying, do I want to commit to having this module? I'm sure I can be persuaded to give you a little free trial for a month. If you want it turned on, then we can turn it on, give it a try for a month, and if it works for you, then we'll leave it turned on, and we will charge you the £50 a month for the module. Okay, folks. Well, I think the question chat panel has dried up. So I think we'll probably leave matters there. If you are interested, drop us a line, drop me a line, drop sales a line, drop support a line, and we will get you fixed up either as a pinpoint client where we can do those upload those payments on your behalf, or if you are the cashier in your firm and you fancy using this, then we can get you switched on. I'm sure I could be persuaded to give you a month's trial, and if that works, then we will bill you accordingly. So I'm going to be shot by my commercial colleagues for giving everything away, but I love everybody at Quill so much that I can't resist it. Right, thanks, folks, and I've returned my dividends now, so so we're all happy. Lovely to be here, and thank you very much indeed, Karen.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, folks.